Ready when you are.
It is now 7:02, and I will call this meeting to order. Can I please get a roll call?
We have 6 counselors present. Counselor Forback is absent.
Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 3A.
We have a proclamation declaring May 12th through the 18th as National Police Week.
Can I get Chief C to come up here? I'll forgive you. It's an official proclamation for National Police Week, and it reads, whereas police services provided in our city play an integral part in everyday life of community members, and whereas the dedicated men and women who on a daily basis protect us, defend us, and serve as guardians are highly trained and committed to public safety, and whereas the support, trust, and cooperation of an involved community is vital to the efficient and effective operation of community policing practices and programs, and whereas the health, safety, and quality of life in this community greatly depends on these programs, services, and employees providing them. And whereas the City of Beloit Police Department incorporates modern-day community policing practices, focusing on their role as guardians by proactively engaging our community to create unity, build and sustain trust, and enhance the overall safety of the City of Beloit. And whereas all members of the City of Beloit Police Department recognize and take seriously their sworn duty to serve the community by safeguarding life and property, protecting against all violence and disorder, and working in partnership to enhance public safety. And whereas we proudly honor and pay tribute to the ultimate sacrifice of past City of Beloit law enforcement officers, while gratefully acknowledging the daily sacrifices of our present officers. Now, therefore, the City Council President of the City of Beloit does hereby proclaim the week of May 12th through May 18th, 2019 as National Police Week in the City of Beloit, and calls upon all citizens and civic organizations to appreciate the contributions which these officers make every day to our health, safety, quality of life, presented this 6th day of May, 2019.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Thank you, councilors. We're very honored to receive this proclamation. As you know, you have a very dedicated group of law enforcement professionals on our department, and we continually strive to improve not only our skills but the safety of Beloit, and we certainly appreciate the strong support that we have, not only from the council but our community. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief. Item 3B.
We have a proclamation declaring May 19th through the 25th, 2019 as National Public Works Week.
Laura. We have a proclamation, and it reads, whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, quality of life, and well-being of the people of Beloit. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our community. And whereas it is in the public interest for the residents, civic leaders, and children in Beloit to gain knowledge of and to maintain a progressive interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their communities. And whereas the year 2019 marks the 59th annual National Public Works Week sponsored by the American Public Works Association with the theme, It Starts Here. Now, therefore, the City Council President of the City of Beloit does hereby proclaim the week of May 19th through the 25th, 2019 as National Public Works Week in the City of Beloit. and calls upon all community members to recognize the contributions made by our Public Works employees to the health, safety, comfort, quality of life of Beloit residents. And furthermore, the City Council President encourages the community to join Public Works Department employees from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturday, May 18th at the downtown Beloit Farmers Market as they showcase equipment and explain the services and programs of the Public Works Department. Presented this 6th day of May, 2019.
Thank you, counselors. On behalf of the men and women of the Public Works Department, we really appreciate this proclamation, and we also encourage everybody to come out to the Farmers Market on May 18th. That's where you're going to get to see all of the equipment and all of the great staff that works on all of our streets and our facilities. Thank you again.
Thank you. Now we'll go to item 3C.
We have a proclamation declaring May 19th through the 25th, 2019 as Emergency Medical Services Week.
All right. We have an official proclamation, and it reads, whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical service teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury. And whereas emergency medical services has grown to fill a gap by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventative medicine, follow-up care, and access to telemedicine. And whereas the emergency medical services system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and other out-of-hospital medical care providers. And whereas the members of emergency medical services team, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and accomplishments of emergency medical service providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week. Now, therefore, the City Council President of the City of Beloit does hereby proclaim the week of May 19th through May 25th, 2019 as Emergency Medical Services Week with the theme EMS Strong, Stronger Together. The City Council further encourages the community to observe this week with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities. Presented this 6th day of May, 2019.
City Council President, City Councilors, City Manager Luther, our community, we're very grateful for the opportunity to serve, and just a reminder that this is our 45th year in the paramedic program. We were the first in the nation, with a city of less than 50,000, to have a paramedic program. And it continues to be a shining star in the state and the nation today with our exceptional medical care. A lot of that is due in large to the leadership of Deputy Chief EMS Deputy Chief Joe Murray, our medical direction, and the 43 paramedics that currently serve the City of Beloit Fire Department. Joe, would you like to speak about that?
I just want to thank all the personnel and the paramedics, EMTs on the department. Thank you guys for the proclamation and recognition. It's very, very grateful for that, and that the guys that are on the streets doing the work day to day are doing a heck of a job, and really work hard to make sure the citizens have the best medical care they can possibly have.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. There are no public hearings this evening, so we'll go right to public comments. We've reached a point in the agenda for citizens to speak to the council about issues that are coming before us or may come before us in the future. Council members may not act on any requests at the meeting, but may refer speaker to staff for assistance. We ask that you hold your comments to 3 minutes or less and refrain from personal attacks of any kind. Speakers are asked to complete a public comment form and turn in prior to our meeting. Please come forward and state your name and address for the record. Our first speaker is Jana Miller. Please come to the podium at this time.
My name is Deanna Miller, and my address is 1811 Vista Drive. My name is Eli Parente Hallberg, and my address is 1821 Vista Drive. This is how we could make Beloit a green community. We can help Morgan Park. We can do this by making buildings a community center. And we can make the land into a park. This is before it gets renovated, and this is after.
Yes, very good.
We can plant more trees. And plant gardens. Also reduce plastic. Make clean water and not waste it. Pick up litter. Stop using plastic. Only use reusable things. That's how we help. We can help the animals that are endangered. We can do this by rescuing them and bringing them into good hands. And stop global warming. We can take care of them. And this is how we can take care of the world. Yay! Wow! Help the world. Kids, stay safe. The world. Hello, flamingos.
Oh, yay!
Oh, great job.
Yeah, good job.
Good job, Woo! Yay!
Good job. Thank you so much, Jen and Eli, for letting your voices be heard. So thank you for that.
Madam President, if I may, I know we usually don't respond, but I think that deserves a response that we have our future youth coming in and doing a great presentation like that. And it was just good. You did an outstanding job. To be honest, we have sometimes us down here get tongue-tied and we can't really present as well as you did tonight. So congratulations on a job well done.
Let's give them another hand. And you came with your props and everything. You were totally prepared. So good job with that. Next up, we'll have Darren Gaines. Can you please come to the podium? State your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Darian Gaines, and I live on 503 Kenwood Avenue. I'm a senior at Beloit Memorial High School. I play football. I run track. I've lived in Beloit for most of my life, and it's what I call home. I'm a little nervous.
That's okay.
And my home is something I like to keep clean. So I'm asking for you to, guide Beloit into becoming a more green, environmentally friendly area. I feel it's our duty as citizens of Beloit that we make being a more green city one of our main priorities. If we want to maintain, sustainability. It'll be a way for other areas to see us for more than just Beloit, while also showing that we care about our city and our earth. Being an environmentally supportive area will affect our future in a positive way because, we're helping the earth, we're raising awareness, and, we're taking that action. It's hard to imagine living somewhere else. I have family and friends that, live here, and, I love this place and I want to see it succeed. But, we need to take this seriously. The betterment of our cities, it's pivotal, all that. We could be the leaders. We could start something new in our city. Pollution, it's a really big problem, and we could be part of that group that wants change and will take action. So, again, I'm just asking for your support to help our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Darren. And thank you, Darren, for coming forward, because it does take a lot of nerves. It's a difference when you're standing there in front of a lot of people, but you did a good job. Next, Brittany Keys. And you state your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, and 2 others showed up at 7 with their...
Okay, can you hand those? There, okay. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Dr. Brittany Keys. I reside at 1611 East Ridge Road in Beloit here. So I proudly live here with my family, and I work as a physical therapist for the health system, and I coach at Beloit Memorial High School. I am here because altogether we are facing one of the greatest global crises in human history. Our climate is changing. Global temperatures and sea levels are rising at an alarming rate, and devastating severe weather swings are accelerating. Even here in Beloit, our air and water quality is deteriorating. Our greenways and waterways are being overwhelmed with plastic pollution. Our people are getting sick. There are people dying as a direct consequence of our changing climate. Some cities and countries are beginning to take action, but the consequences of the greater inaction is grim. Unfortunately, some leaders at the state and national level are only leading with the short game in mind and concerned more about profits, campaign contributions, their power, than voting on policy largely disregarding our environment and the future of our children and grandchildren. So this is a conundrum that often overwhelms me to the point that I spend much time jogging around our city, picking up litter with a new group that's called Beloit Plogging. I'd love all of you to join us sometime because it's quite fun, rewarding, and therapeutic. But the point is, I cannot handle inaction regarding this any longer. Although our group has picked up and saved our streets from hundreds and hundreds of pounds of garbage already and preventing it from going into our waterways, we need backing, we need support, and we need action from our leaders. So this is where I'm very thankful to have city leadership that is very family-centric, invested in our city's future, and very encouraging of community conversation. This is also where I'm going to ask you to develop and enact policy that will push Beloit to be the forefront of sustainable and green cities in the Midwest. There is no set recipe book or standard for me to hand you, but I ask you to strongly consider setting goals on decreasing carbon emissions, investing in renewable energy sources, incentivizing businesses on upgrades and projects that are sustainably built, protect our recycling program, and initiate a citywide composting program. Also, please consider steps to raise the bar and expectations of keeping our city clean and healthy, freeing our streets and waterways of plastic waste and garbage. It is time as a community we shift away from the convenience of single-use plastic and styrofoam. This type of change has to come from the top down. As we enact these changes, we need to educate and empower people of our great community so we can embrace being part of the solution. We need to acknowledge that our sacrifices that we make today are really investments in tomorrow. Some scientists will argue we have between 5 and 12 years not only to act, but to try to start reversing some of the damages already done. Thus, our actions today could very well be saving our children's future. The Beloit Powerhouse Construction, that has an awesome banner, has been recognized as one of the most forward-looking concepts in the world. So I feel now it is time for the city of Beloit to earn and own this recognition as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Madam President, I'm sorry this is an unusual moment, but I don't happen to have a copy of Ms. Key's written speech. Not that you have to have one tonight, but could you get one? Could you email one?
I could absolutely email
That would
them
be
to you.
great.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very
I
much.
also did submit, I had another young student athlete submit copies of their testament to you all. And then another individual leader from Beloit Plogging also shared her speech in a resource. So thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we'll have Harley Stevens. Can you state your name and address for the record, please?
Good evening. My name is Harley Stevens, and I reside at 732 Gene Ellen Drive. I'm an 18-year-old senior at Beloit Memorial High School, preparing to further my education by majoring in secondary education in the fall at Whitewater. I am here today to ask you to lead Beloit into becoming a sustainable green city. As adults, you always encourage us students to educate ourselves before we speak and tell us how important education is, but yet, after we educate ourselves on the matter, you do not take us seriously or we're being seen as being disrespectful. I'm asking that you take this as respectfully as possible and as seriously as possible. As a student at BMHS, I have taken many different science courses, and I have learned the obvious. More people are crowding into places, which means more cars are on the road, air quality is suffering, and the temperatures are more extreme. I mean, look, we had snow at the very end of April. It is very apparent that climate change is real and something needs to be done about it. The facts are very clear. The environment affects everything we do, and everything we do affects the environment. Some things I encourage us to do are the following. Recycling even more than we do now. If we recycled 233 tons of waste, this would translate to saving 833 cubic yards of landfill space or enough airspace to meet the needs of 1,069 people for a year. Also, perhaps offering some sort of discount on bus passes would encourage people to use cars less and encourage the use of public transportation more, which would help with the air quality issue. One last suggestion would be to install low-flow plumbing fixtures throughout the downtown community in efforts to conserve water. This idea alone could reduce water consumption by up to 30%. This is important to me because I have lived here my whole life, and when I think of the word home, I think of Beloit. Like most of you, well, I hope most of you, I want my home to be as efficient as possible to save money in the long run, and I also want it to be clean and stay clean so it can attract visitors. Since Beloit is all of our homes, it is our duty to do just that. In 4 years, I'll strongly be considering whether to return back to Beloit and start my career in education at the high school, or possibly going somewhere else, perhaps a more greener/sustainable city. Your leadership and approach to our current climate crisis will definitely be a deciding factor in weighing on my decision. Again, I am asking you for immediate action for myself and my classmates. Remember, we must meet our needs without compromising future generations' ability to meet their own needs. Bottom line, we need to plan, develop, implement, and assess sustainability efforts of Beloit to benefit our community now and for the future. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Harley, for that. Next, we have Jason Coleman. Can you please come down and state your name and address for the record, please?
Hello, my name is Jaron Coleman. I reside at 2729 Sarah Lane. I'm 18 years old. I'm a senior at Beloit Memorial High School, preparing to further my education at Oshkosh. I also play football in the fall. I'm here to ask you to lead Beloit and become a sustainable city. I'm a senior. I took AP Environmental Science, and I've learned how much humans, as in us, impact our community, city, world, whatever. Negatively for the most part, but we're almost to the point where we won't be able to sustain, and the facts are pretty clear on that. As individuals, if we pick up what we can and stop being lazy, go to the corner store, walk there instead, our future could be a lot brighter. And I'm just asking for, within the next 4 or 5 years when I get back, we're like 10 to 15% in progress to becoming a green city, especially because I'll be deciding to stay here or venture off after college when start my career. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jan, for coming tonight. And it really just warms my heart to see, and I'm sure all the other council members to see so many of our young people get involved. All people get involved, especially our young people. So thank you. Is there anyone else that wants to come forward this evening? If there are no other public comments, we'll move on. Oh, is it? Okay, come on down. And just state your name and your address for the record, please.
My name is Ernest Calvin. I live at 2419 Prairie Avenue, and I'm here to more or less just go ahead and, in one point, I'm going to go ahead and thank you guys for answering some questions that I've asked since I've been here. But I have some letters that you've sent me. The first one was January 28th you sent me, which explained to me as to why as we go further north, why the potential for development meant that the two-way left turn lane was necessary, okay? But it also says that since there is no development, and let's just read it. Sit here. I don't want to put words in your mouth. It states, this means that the vacant parcels of land are developed. Left turn access can be provided in the specific locations needed by the development without reconfiguring the raised median. The travel pattern, land usage, and density near your location are well established, and the city believes the installation of the raised median will enhance the safety of the motoring public, not only now, but in future years. Okay? Which I appreciate the letter. And then I received a letter which explained on April 15th, which explained the safety concern and showed me a drawing of the two-way left turn lane and the fact that the two-way left turn lane, without it and making people go right lane only, has a 72% of the crashes at driveways are involved in left turn vehicles. Okay. Now I received a letter on the 24th, which was informing me of development in the place where everything is developed. So what I'm wondering now is, and I'm not sure if this is going to go through, but I see they want to put in, you sent me the letter and the sketches of what's going to be coming before you, which means that I guess I have development potential, just like further up, okay? And the other thing that threw me for a little bit of a loop was the fact that if 72% of the accidents are caused by that, why would it be safe in your new development area, but for the 5 residents that you're going to block in, which is only 5, you're going to save us? And I always figured, I don't know, I'm not a genius in math, but the more volume you have, the greater potential for things going wrong. So where you're going to have the volume, it's okay, but for the 5 people, it's not, okay? So I've been before you enough that you know me, but I'm starting to feel like when I read in the book of Exodus, when Moses came to the Pharaoh, and the Bible says Pharaoh's heart was just hardened, okay? It wasn't nothing going to change it. It is what it is. I've presented the fact that by making me drive around, you're actually creating, by definition, you are creating voter suppression, because my poll is much closer if I never had to go out and go to a Janesville or Turtle. By definition, you're giving me a tax increase because the state of Wisconsin charges 30.9 cents as an excise tax per gallon of gas, and you're forcing me to burn more gas as opposed to come to my home. But that's just it. I just need to go ahead. Had you not have sent me this letter on the 24th, you wouldn't have seen me again. I was done with it, but it's just, I don't know. It's just, I'm a man of reason and logic, okay? I prefer logic. Thank you.
Thank you for your input. Is there anyone that would like to come forward at this time for public comments? Sure. If you could come forward and give your name and address for the record, please.
Hello, I am Kenneth Forbeck. I live at 1835 Sherwood Drive, Southwest Beloit, Wisconsin. And I just want to continue talking about the environment real quick. We have the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change warning us that we only have 11 years to potentially reverse the effects of climate change, and that is so important to me. I have my whole life ahead of me, and I want to go on to be involved in my community and continue maybe coming back to Beloit. And I want to also see possibly my children and grandchildren to have that opportunity. And then we also see, like, today the UN, or recently the UN released a report that 1 million species are on the edge of extinction. And that's very important to recognize that we also have to take care of our environment and the species that are out there, because otherwise we'll have a world that becomes just monoculture. And also going into like pollution, like I've been down in Turtle Creek at Nature at the Conference, the new environmental center, and I've actually like pulled hubcaps. I've pulled a whole shopping cart like buried in the side of a rock island out of the creek. And I've also been to the Kelly Creek and right on the other side of the Nature at the Conference, and that place is totally devastated by the impacts that we have had on the environment from just pollution through like oil and tires and concrete. And I just really want to see like action. Like we can sit around and forever and not do anything, or we can say, okay, this is something we got to do now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. You did a really good job, and you spoke from your heart, so thank you for that. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward for the public comments? Okay. If there are no more public comments, we'll move on to item B, to item 6, the consent agenda.
All items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered at this point on the agenda.
Would any council like anything removed from the agenda? The consent agenda consists of items 6A through 6J. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Okay. I have a first by Councilor Jacobson, a second by Councilor Levy. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 7A, please.
We have consideration of Resolution 2019-54 approving 2017-2019 applicants for alcohol beverage license, bartender's license for the period of April 9th through the 30th, 2019. You have before you tonight 19 applications for approval, 0 for denial. Those numbers, as we head towards June 30th, of course, will start to get quite high, so don't be surprised by the numbers since this is a renewal year.
Can I have a motion to approve item 7A?
So moved. Second.
Okay. I have a first by Councilor Preschel, a second by Councilor Blakely. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 8A, please.
Consideration of ordinance number 3648 to create 1802 sub 15 sub N of the Code of General Ordinances of the City of Beloit, authorizing outdoor vending for Woofstock concert events sponsored by the Humane Society of Southern Wisconsin. This is first reading.
Can I have a motion to lay this over for a second reading to the May 20th regular meeting? Is there a first or motion?
So moved.
Councilor Anderson, is there a second?
Second.
Councilor Blakely, any discussion? And if not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Appointments.
Under 9A, we have just one appointment this evening, and the appointment is to the Police and Fire Commission. We have Rongel Watson replacing Tressie Brown for a term ending April 30th, 2024.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the appointment as presented? It's a first by Councilor Preschel. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Jacobson. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, item 9B, please.
So we have the appointments to the council committee, boards, and commissions. And would you like me to read them or refer them? I can read them real quick.
You can read them.
Okay.
That'd be great.
We have Councilor Anderson to the ABLCC. We have President Duncan and Vice President Anderson to the Appointment Review Committee. Councilor Jacobson to the Beloit Improvement District. Nancy Forbeck and Kevin Levy to the Community Development Authority. Mark Preschel to the Convention and Visitors Bureau Board of Directors. Nancy Forbeck to the Equal Opportunities Commission, Sherry Blakely to the Landmarks Commission, Mark Preschel to the Library Board, Nancy Forbeck to the Metropolitan Planning Organization, Beth Jacobson to the Park Recreation and Conservation Advisory Commission, Mark Preschel to the Plan Commission, Sherry Blakely to the Traffic Review Committee. And there's a non-board, but there's an appointment of Sherry Blakely also to the Gulf Committee.
Okay. So these are my recommended appointments for our city councilors. Can I have a motion to approve the appointments as presented?
So moved.
Yes. First by Preschel, Councilor Preschel first, second by Councilor Levy. So any discussion?
Just as long as Sherry can make those 7 o'clock Wednesday meetings. I mean, I'm perfectly willing to continue making it.
Are you? Could we unofficially share that appointment, Councilor Preschel?
Just going to text me real quick in case you can't make it that morning?
Yes. Once a month or every week?
Once a month.
Thank you.
So if not, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Motion carries. You all made that really easy.
Thank you.
Next, we'll do councilor activities and upcoming events. So we will start first with Councilor Preschel.
Well, I'm going to be very brief because I don't know how long I can go without starting coughing. So anyway, I've been to a lot of events, a lot of things in the last week and 2 weeks. There's a couple things coming up. In fact, there's so many things coming up, it's hard. It makes my head spin. I would suggest that anybody who really wants to stay on top of what's coming, follow the city's Facebook page or follow the city's agenda. The website is really easy to navigate now. But most importantly, follow those Facebook pages. I think Instagram's out there, but I'm not 100% sure how active that is. Anyway, it's a great way to stay on top of that stuff. And for those who are concerned, always remember the Plan Commission meetings follow the City Council meeting on the following Wednesday at 7 o'clock in the same place. So people that see things that are coming up on like our consent agenda tonight, if they're concerned about them, that's that Plan Commission meeting is Wednesday night, coming right up at 7 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Jacobson.
No report.
Councilor Blakely.
I've been privileged to sit in on the History Harvest Project in class at Beloit College. It is an effort to fill out the picture of the Black Americans who came to Beloit during the Great Migration years of 1915 to 1970. Southern blacks were moving north in pursuit of greater freedom, less prejudice possibly, and better job opportunities. Some are rejoining family members who traveled up our way earlier. Many who came to Beloit, here's a bit of a history lesson, very brief. Many who came to Beloit were from Chickasaw County, Mississippi. They came to work either at Fairbanks Morse or at Beloit Iron Works. So I just want to say thank you to the professors and students who are working hard to pull this together into a digital exhibit that'll be open to everybody in the public then, so we can all learn about an aspect of Beloit life that's very important to our community. Kudos to Beloit College Professor Beatrice McKenzie, working alongside her colleague Professor Ellen Joyce, and community members Jackie Jackson and Wanda Sloan. So keep that in mind. There'll be more available about it in the Beloit Daily News as it becomes better known and as the students pull it all together for this first round of the History Harvest. The Art Walk, the 17th annual Art Walk, is coming up this Friday, May 10th, from 5 to 9 p.m. in downtown Beloit. It's hosted by the Downtown Beloit Association. It's very casual, but there will be artwork on display throughout the businesses downtown. There'll be some special foods and drinks to sample along the way, and free trolley car rides. It's really a lot of fun for the whole family. It's a great way to enjoy our beautiful downtown and support small businesses. And that is 5 to 9 this coming Friday evening. And I also just wanted to add very quickly, since I have an important visitor from out of state, I have been seeing Beloit through fresh eyes as I drive around, and especially this time of year, appreciating the number of fine parks and playgrounds that we have throughout the city. It's a great place to live, and that helps all of us get a taste of the outdoors when we want to. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Blakely. Now we'll go to Councilor Levy. Vice President Anderson.
I joined several of you at the Stand Against Racism event. President Duncan, Councilor Jacobson, Preschel, and I think that was it.
How about ours?
Nancy and the city manager were all in attendance. It was really great to have some amazing speakers, one of which was Dr. Howard from Beloit College, who talked about her path to becoming here as a citizen and being here at Beloit College. It was definitely a very inspirational story, and I think it was quite moving. I think a lot of us had some tears shed after she finished speaking. And then I also attended the Arbor Day celebration at McNeil Intermediate with City Manager Luther being the MC and President Duncan reading the Arbor Day proclamation. And we even had our state representative, Mark Spreitzer, in attendance to talk about how amazing trees are, because if you don't know him at a personal level, he has a lot of fruit trees at his house, so he spent a lot of time talking about how great they are. I also attended Congressman Pocan's Town Hall at the Merrill Community Center. It's great to have a member of Congress come down to Beloit to talk about the issues that maybe people have at the federal government level, and we definitely appreciate having him come to the city of Beloit. Another thing going on at the public library is they have an art exhibit that they've had displayed. If you haven't checked it out, it's quite wonderful. The artist is Tom Ports, who actually has Beloit connections. His mom grew up here. And they should have him on display for about the next 6 months. So you got a little bit of time, but it's a good it's good work art. I saw Councilor Preschel there. It was definitely quite interesting.
I forgot all about this, but it was the oddest thing in the world. His mother and my mother knew each other. They grew up within a few houses of each other on Keeler Avenue. At the same time, they were born the same year. So they had to have known each other. They had to have, palled around the same neighborhood over there. And I grew up in that area myself. So it was just like a stunning, never saw it coming type of small world moment. And that was the reason that he has an art exhibit in Beloit.
Well, now I don't need to mention that because Mark already explained that part. I also attended at Rock County Christian School during National Day of Prayer. I was there. Chief Z went before me and took just about everything I was going to say, so I had to wing it. We'll compare notes next time. But I did encourage everybody to get back to the community and get involved, because that's quite important too. And I think during that day it's important to reflect on our values and actually go do something with that. So it was great, and I hope we compare notes next time, Chief. And then also, the Farmers Market is finally here. If you didn't go to it last Saturday, it's going on every Saturday. It's the best farmers market in the state of Wisconsin. I strongly believe that, and I'm sure everybody else does too. So go check that out. The last thing I did was the March for Peace. I joined Councilmember Levy and Forbeck, and Kevin had some great words to get everybody fired up. He's quite the spokesperson. And he did make it through the whole march. I was quite impressed. Yeah, he made it. He said next time he'll ride his bike with it. So. And then one upcoming event I just want to share is on Thursday. I'll be speaking at Beloit Memorial, just talking to some students there. We had some great students speak today, and it's always great to have conversations with the high school students. They are our future, and they definitely do care about this community, even though they don't always come to our city council meetings unless it's required by class, but they do definitely care. So I just wanted to let everybody know that they're really interested. They might not be here, but they do care about what's going on here. So thank you.
Thank you. You've been busy. Along with my fellow counselors and city staff, I attended the YWCA Stand Against Racism event, the Arbor Day celebration, the National Day of Prayer service, the Rock County Breakfast, and the Boys and Girls Club Today's Dreamers, Tomorrow's Leaders event, which I attended with Julie Christensen, who's our Community Development Director. I enjoyed sharing, and you probably, Julie, you can remember all this word for word, because I talked with the girls and I enjoyed sharing with them the 3 things that they should do to reach success in their life. 1 was to love themselves. 2 was to be passionate about what they choose to do. And then 3, to learn that it's okay to make mistakes. Just try not to make the same ones. Those are the words that I think we can all live by. In Beloit, we can be proud that there are so many community partners working together to provide mentorship to our students. So I want to say a special thank you, and I know this list gets kind of long, and if I If I've left somebody out, it's not intentional. But I just want to say a special thank you to Karis Haley, Mark Rand, Angela Moore, Reverend Dr. Norris Jackson Jr., Reverend Kenda Roman, Reverend Carrie Parker, Reverend Sherrick Anderson, Reverend Terry Morehouse, Reverend Steve Urkel, Reverend Gregory Armstrong, Reverend Charles Jones, Reverend Brenda Atlas, David Wilson, Sue Alexander, our city staff, including our city manager, our community development director, Julie Christensen, our police chief, and also our fire chief, counselors, residents, and volunteers. Together, we were able and are able to inspire our youth and spread love throughout our city, because it truly takes a village. So I am so appreciative of all of your efforts. Also, as you can tell by the list and hearing our city councilor tonight with all our activities, there are many wonderful events that are taking place in our community. And if you're wondering at home, how can I find out about these things? You can get more information by going on the City of Beloit, Visit Beloit, or the Downtown Beloit Association pages. Or, I know I spoke with a group of ladies, and if you're watching, you said, we don't do that internet thing. That's okay. You can simply call Visit Beloit at 365-4838. Again, that number is 365-4838. And if you have some free time and are looking for something to do, you can use your talent and skills serving on one of our city committees, which is also listed on the City of Beloit's website. And if you don't have internet, don't fear. You can still place a phone call, and you can call 364-6614. Lastly, I want to give another special shout out to our city manager and city staff for helping us to make Beloit even better. Keep up the great work. And then I also want to mention, before I just wrap up and go to the next item, that Councilor Forbeck isn't here tonight, and we miss her presence, but she'll be here at the next meeting. And we just want you to know, Nancy, that you're in our thoughts. With that said, there's no item on 11 tonight under the city manager's presentation, so we can go right to item 12. 12A, please.
12A is consideration of Resolution 2019-55, awarding the sale of $1,930,000 in general obligation promissory notes, Series 2019A.
Good evening. Last month, City Council approved the initial resolutions, which authorized us to go out into the open market to gather bids for our notes and our bonds. Those proceeds of the notes and the bonds will be used to help fund the capital improvement plan, which was a part of our 2019 annual budget. Since that time, we have prepared the preliminary official statement. We had a phone call with our bond counsel, a due diligence call. And we also had an S&P ratings call, which came back, which affirmed our A+ rating. And it also had a stable outlook, which is very good news for us at the city. And so the resolutions that are before you tonight will actually approve the sale of those notes and bonds. And with us tonight is Dawn Gunderson from Ellers, and she will walk you through the sale day reports.
Thank you, Eric. You've been provided with sale reports for both of the debt issuances, and I'll just hit the highlights for the promissory notes. As was mentioned by your finance director, there were two issues that were sold on a competitive basis today, one for promissory notes and one for general obligation corporate purpose bonds. And the difference between the two is basically the type of projects that you're financing. So for equipment projects or smaller dollar amounts or things that have a short life expectancy, you issue promissory notes. And the bonds are issued for things that have a longer life, like streets and some municipal building projects and so on and so forth. So they're for anything that's longer, a payback period of more than 10 years. So that's what the bonds are. So on the promissory notes, the resolution that you'll be considering this evening is for $1,930,000, and it's to accept the bids that the winning bid that we received this morning on a competitive basis. So this morning we solicited bids. We received 4 bids for the promissory notes. The winning bid was Baird out of Milwaukee with a low interest bid of 2.2836%. The great news on this is the interest rates came in lower than our planning estimates. We also received a premium bid, which is money that the underwriter provides in advance in exchange for some of the couponing, and we were able to reduce the principal amount of the issue by $15,000. Also, with that premium, there's additional funds that will be deposited in your debt service that will help pay the first year's interest expense. So in summary, with the four bids and the low bid that we received, the overall cost to finance your projects for the promissory notes is about $59,511 less than the planning estimates and the estimates that were provided you the day that you set the sale. Now, your finance director mentioned the rating. I just want to hit some highlights on the rating. Standard & Poor's, or referred to as S&P, was the agency that prepared and reviewed the credit quality of the city, and there was a report that's been provided to you, and I think it's important that you read that. It talks about the credit quality of the city, and that equates to interest rates. It's much like a personal credit score, and the better the score, the interest rates are relative to that. So it's, as stated, it's an A1 or A+ stable, and a few of the highlights that they talk about the strengths here at the city: strong management, strong budgetary performance, very strong budgetary flexibility, and very strong liquidity. And those are things that you as elected officials and staff have ability to control. So those are great things. Now, there's a few things that they don't give you quite as high of a rating, but one is in the economy, and those are somewhat things that you can control to a certain degree, but not so much. They recognize and give you credit for a lot of the economic growth that's taking place, but some of that falls down on basically the per capita positions, and those are a little bit lower than the national standards. And then also your debt and your contingent liability profile. Some of that is things you control, and that's the borrowing that you take place. You do get a lot of credit for the ability that the fast amortization of your debt, outstanding debt. And one of the things that falls into that factor is your pension and your post-employment retirement liabilities that are out there, and so those weigh into those numbers as well. They do also point out a few things that I want to highlight, and that is the things that would help that rating improve, or those that maybe would put downward pressure on that. And the things that would improve if there's a sustainable improvement in the economic metrics or the demographics that I mentioned earlier, and to bring it more in line with higher rated communities. And then the downward pressure, and these are things that you do have control over, and that's your rating could be lowered on budgetary performance if there's a weakening or any pressuring on your reserves and liquidity. I know the city has spent a lot of effort over the years of helping build up that fund balance and those reserves, and that certainly has improved the credit position of the city as well. And that stable outlook, there is certainly a recognition that that is out there for a period and will be sustainable going forward. That kind of concludes the discussion on the promissory notes. If there are any questions, I'm happy to take those now. I know your next agenda item is the bonds, and I can cover that now or wait till you.
Should we take a vote? Let's go ahead and take a motion.
Okay.
Can I have a motion to approve the resolution as presented?
So moved.
Okay. I think it's been moved and seconded.
Likely pressure, sounds good. Okay.
So Pressure and then
I
Blakely?
just had one comment too.
Blakely and then Pressure.
Blakely and then Pressure.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
so it's been moved by Blakely, seconded by Pressure. Okay, any discussion?
I just had one comment. I wanted to compliment Ellers on keeping us informed and updated in the process of this and what's going on in this kind of strange market that a lot of people don't pay a lot of attention to. And I never went into business building it in college, and but it's something that's very helpful to know, and it's easy to understand when you present it like this. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
You've always done a good job that way. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any other discussion? This is a roll call vote. Clerk Stotler, would you take the roll call vote, please?
Anderson? Blakely?
Aye.
Duncan?
Aye.
Jacobson? Levy? Preschel? This passes 6-0. Item 6B is consideration of Resolution 2019-56, awarding the sale of $3,635,000 of general obligation corporate purpose bonds, Series 2019B.
With this issue, we also took competitive bids this morning. would just highlight that this is actually financing a majority of your street projects, as well as some park improvements, those types of things that have an expectation to last for a long time. And again, if this holds an A+ rating, we had 5 bids on this issue, and the Baker Group out of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, was the winning bid with the lowest cost of issuance, 2.7931%, so that's 20-year money for less than 3%, which is great news. This issue, because of the way the bidding came in, we were able to reduce the principal by $50,000 from our planning estimates, and there's also $107,000 that will be available to pay interest that first year on the payments in 2020. There is a tabulation of those bids in this document as well, but kind of to summarize the results and compare that to the planning estimates, because of the reduction of principal of $50,000, we also saw about $81,000 less in interest, and overall the issue to pay for these particular projects from our planning estimates is lower by $239,000. So positive results on this one as well, and your action this evening then will be accepting the low bid on the bond issue.
Hold on. Can I have a motion to approve the resolution as presented?
Move.
Okay, first by Jacobson, seconded by Counselor Levy. Any discussion? Go ahead, Counselor Blakely.
I just wanted to say thank you to Dawn and Ellers, and also thank you to Eric and our finance department, the staff members here, with your help and support, as Counselor Preschel said, give us all the details we need in order to represent this to the public, answer questions when needed. And you brought us very good news right now. Isn't it terrific when you get good news about money, especially at the city level? We're doing well, and it's thanks to our management and city staffers, and thanks to you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So this is a roll call vote. Clerk Stotler, would you take the roll call vote, please?
Anderson? Blakely?
Aye.
Duncan?
Aye.
Jacobson?
Aye.
Levy? Preschel?
Aye.
This passes 6-0.
Thank you. Now we're at adjournment. Can I have a motion to adjourn, please? First by Preschel, seconded by Jacobson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.
Thank you. Congratulations on your first meeting,
Madam
President.
Thank you. I'm like, wow.
You did it. And Mr.